Oh, don't call my flow.
Got a lot to cover. So
Godmorgen folkens, hvordan går det? Jeg er Vena.
Og jeg er Tim.
So this is Tim Vena Adventures, and for this video we will do a reaction to Denmark.
Yeah, and the language you just spoke was Danish, right?
Yep.
And you know a bit of Danish. What do you know?
Lidt spidser.
Yeah,
Jeg
little
elsker dig. Jeg
I love
savner
you.
dig.
I miss you.
Du er besindelse.
You are a blessing. Yeah, wow, good ones.
Hvordan går det?
How are you?
Det går godt.
It's going well.
Sometimes I can answer Tim, but sometimes I forget to word
Yeah.
because it's really difficult to pronounce the words and language of Denmark.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's start.
Let's get
So
started.
this is the geography of Denmark. So
Let's get it started.
Actually, they pronounce it Denmark.
Denmark. Yeah, that's true. We use an A, not just Denmark. We say Denmark in Danish. Oh, wait a second. I just need to fix the audio here. Give me 1 second, please. And now it should work.
I bought a sandwich that was $21. Well, this was that sandwich, and my reaction was like, I mentioned how I went to Denmark one time and bought a sandwich that was $21. Well, this was that sandwich, and my reaction was like, $21? Oh, this better be the best sandwich I've ever had in my life. You got lucky.
It's time to learn geography.
Yeah, prices in Denmark are...
Very expensive.
Very expensive,
The
yeah.
restaurants, they're very expensive.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbie, Legos, Vikings, and Roll med fløjl.
Oh, don't call my flow.
Got a lot to cover, so let's jump in.
I like that. Don't call my flow.
Denmark, the link between the rest of Europe and Scandinavia. So much to discuss. Denmark is classified as a Nordic country, hence located in the Northern European region, even though it's kind of like the southernmost state in the Nordics. Full disclaimer, ignore Wikipedia. I'm gonna pronounce the location names in their proper Danish context. So here we go. Denmark is made of the Jutland, not Jutland Peninsula that connects to Germany in the south, as well as
It's called Jylland in Danish, but Jutland in English.
1,419 islands. Of those, only 443 are named and 74 are inhabited. With the largest island being Sjælland, not Zealand, which is not to be confused with Dutch Zeeland, which is not to be confused with New Zealand, although they did get their name.
I can't take it! That's too much!
Yeah, so, I mean, you can say Zealand. I mean, all these... people in Denmark will understand you if you use the English terms for our islands.
Information!
It is connected to Fyn Island, not Finn Island, by the Great Belt Bridge,
Fyn.
completed
Remember we crossed that one?
Yeah.
in 1998. The country is divided into 5 regions, the capital being Copenhagen, located on Sjælland. Copenhagen is home to a myriad of historical sites, palaces,
Remember we've been there, right?
Oh, we've been there.
Yeah.
located on Sjælland. Copenhagen is home to a myriad of historical sites,
Yeah, we went there, right? We have a photo from there, right?
Yeah.
palaces, statues, residential units that are all the same height and style, with pockets of colorful, quaint, cozy shops and cafes, and dangerous bicycle lanes that you are not supposed to walk on. Now this is where things are gonna get a little spiced up, and by spiced up I mean freezing cold and covered in whale blubber. Denmark, for those of you who didn't know, is a kingdom, one of the last surviving ones in Europe, and is currently under the headship of chain-smoking Queen Margaret II. These still fall under Danish sovereignty and make up the massive Greenland island and the little Faroe Islands. Both of these places are radically different from mainland Denmark. For one, Greenland is primarily inhabited by native Inuit tribal peoples that live on the island and is 80% covered in ice year-round. The Faroe Islands are a conglomeration of 20-ish mystical, cloudy, windy islands that have this crazy-looking lake that looks like it's about to spill over the cliffs into the ocean. These two areas have their own self-governing home rule, otherwise only depending on Denmark for military, justice, currency, and foreign affairs. Otherwise, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, historically, they did try to kind of create an empire by colonizing parts of the Caribbean, Ghana, India, and then in the Nicobar Islands in the Indian Ocean, but they kind of ran out of money and ended up selling everything to other countries. Too bad. It would be awesome to see people in the Indian Ocean speaking Danish. Nonetheless, mainland Denmark is kind of like a fast-moving economic machine. Let's talk about how. Now, when it comes to land makeup, Denmark is pretty flat. I mean, the highest point, Møllehoy, is only about 170 meters tall and it looks like this. Otherwise, only about 13% of the country is forested, including the tree plantations, and the rest is pretty much used for agriculture that can produce enough food to feed about 15
Oh,
million
yeah, I
people.
saw that.
It's about 3 times the size of their entire population. Good for you, Denmark. But one thing Denmark is actually famous for growing is non-produce plants like grass, fodder, and Christmas trees. The highly sought-after Danish Nordmann fir has been classified as the Rolls-Royce of Christmas trees,
That's
and
true.
every year investors from Germany, the Netherlands, and even the UK jump in at the end of November and grab whatever they can before it's gone. Now, one thing you need to know is that like many other areas in the Nordic region, Denmark's weather can be quite dreary. First of all, Denmark is the only
Yeah, I think it's worth commenting here, right? What was your reaction when you first landed in Denmark?
It's so cold.
Yeah. And that
Even
was-
it's 18 degree, which is, I don't know if I experienced that before in the Philippines because we have the, what's that, Baguio City, that
Oh,
is
yeah.
the summer capital of the Philippines. So it's quite cold there as well, but it's really different weather in Denmark. So they say that there is spring, but it seems like I'm freezing there by the time I, went out into the airport. Then it's really cold. So by the time I just walk into going to the Little Mermaid,
Yeah.
it's really cold.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to my nerves or my blood. It seems like they're
Yeah.
shrinking because it's really cold.
It was
there.
like 14 degrees, something like that. Yeah.
18, 14.
Nordic country that doesn't really get a lot of snow. Denmark is kind of like the mud pit located below the jet stream blocked by Norway and the UK. This means that even though it gets really cold, pressure systems rarely cause snow. This is also pretty much why everybody dresses like a J. Crew fall fashion model on the streets. If you're gonna get wet and freezing, you may as well look good while doing it. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, pretty much the rest of Denmark is just rolling green plains with sandy beaches and quirky little islands that people like to hop over for camping trips in the summer. If we were gonna talk about Greenland and the Faroe Islands, we would get a radically different story of mind-boggling, captivating cliffs, bluffs, sea stacks,
Crazy.
glaciers, fissures, icebergs, and mountains. If you don't know what a Mulan is, it's not this, but this.
This Mulan is large enough to swallow a school bus.
Yeah. It could be quite dangerous to hike in Greenland because of these guys.
But we'll have to save that for another video that'll come out in 9,374 years. In the meantime, let's talk about the people.
The people!
Oh,
Now, this is gonna get really fun. Denmark's people are really unique in their cultural, historical, and postmodern upbringing. First of all, the country has about 5.7 million people and is one of the highest taxed countries in the world. About 89% of the country identifies as ethnically Danish, about 11% are others. Some of the largest groups in the other category being the Polish, Germans, Turkish, Romanians, Iraqis, and Afghans. Now, when it comes to Danish culture, there's a lot behind it, but in a nutshell, Vikings. Vikings pretty much had their start in what is now
That's
present-day
famous
Denmark,
there.
and who pretty
Yeah.
much dominated all of the Nordic regions as far as Newfoundland and Canada to Estonia. Which is why most of the Nordic states and regions can pretty much understand each other when they talk. Danes, Swedes, Norwegians, and Icelanders can generally understand each other as they have the same basic linguistic structure. Sure,
I think we understand each other if you speak really slow.
Yeah, because they have like a different,
Some words are slightly different, and
Yeah.
like the way they intonate is different too, right?
yep.
So Norwegians speak like this. Hej, jeg kommer fra Norge. They have a funny way of speaking, right? So we have to pay attention when they talk.
there are subtle discrepancies, but overall they can kind of get by conversationally.
Sama, olen saunassa, jos jotain.
Oh, Finnish people, we don't understand a word.
Oh,
of it.
that's, Tim told me it's difficult to understand Finnish
Yeah,
people.
it's not difficult, it's impossible.
Their
Granted,
language.
there's a saying. The Norwegian and Swedish languages sound like dancing fairies, whereas the Danish language sounds like a dude with a potato in his mouth.
Yeah.
By the way, anybody who wants to
Yeah,
learn
it's true. Sometimes,
Mm.
sorry guys, if you are Danish. Sometimes I'm joking to my husband because like when he like teaching me how to speak Danish, he was just like there's a potato into his mouth like
That's very insulting.
nah.
Just kidding.
But it's really nice because I'm started to know also the few words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that to learn. And when you learn, you'll also be able to understand Swedish and Norwegian as well.
Yeah. Hi, Funkers.
Danish, full disclosure,
Folkens.
it's gonna suck. The J makes the Y sound, the Y makes the U sound, the V makes a W sound, the R makes a R sound, the H is silent half the time, a ton of the letters are never even used, and don't even get started on A, U, and
You know what's really hard to? It's really hard to pronounce their word if you really don't know about it. For example, the Y is like that's in English is I, which is the correct spelling of that one is J-E-G. So if you pronounce it like jeg, Jeg Vena, but you're gonna say it yai. So how
Yai.
it's come impossible? So how is it impossible that it's like yai,
Yeah.
which is the spelling is jeg, or like Elska die is like dig, which is g, so it's like silent
not
I.
dig.
It's like dig,
It's
or like
not jeg,
Elska
Elska
die.
dig.
It's not Elsker. Jig Elsker dig. No.
No.
Yai Elska die.
Yeah.
It's really hard
Exactly.
for me actually to learning those words, but I'm learning it slowly by the help of Tim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Oh. I kind of discovered a little trick though when I went to Denmark. When speaking Danish, all you really have to do is kind of like pronounce the first part of the word that you think makes a sound, and then just kind of like give up on the rest of the word. For example, Copenhagen, Nybroggen, Nystrand. I'm literally just listing names of places in Copenhagen that I've been to. Honestly,
It's a funny. It's actually.
It's funny. Yeah, because as well, this guy
Yeah,
said the Copenhagen.
Yeah, it's actually kind of true. Actually,
Remember
pretty
the
good.
one that I cannot pronounce a Newham?
Nyhavn.
Newham, which is the spelling of that one is I think
Y
Nyhavn.
A. Yeah.
It's like Neyhaven, but when you pronounce it Johan, how come it's like that? Then I was like, maybe we will go to the Neyhaven. Then he said like Johan, what Johan? I don't understand.
Yeah, that's true. That's funny.
Wow.
Nyhavn. Yeah, it's
Nyhavn.
kind of. I like what he's saying there. Actually, see it again. It's kind of funny, right? Let's see that again.
and then just kind of like give up on the rest of the word. For example, Copenhagen, Nybroggen, Løvstrand. I'm literally just listing names of places.
It's actually pretty good. It's pretty good at speaking Danish. Just I didn't know you could do that.
Places in Copenhagen that I've been to. Honestly though, you really won't have much of a problem getting around if you speak English. Over 80% of the entire country, mostly the younger generation, speaks proficient English to the point where they don't even need subtitles when watching American TV shows and movies. Also, keep in mind, Greenland has its own language that is completely unintelligible as it's an Inuit language closer to the indigenous Inuktitut and Yupik languages found in Canada and Alaska. And Faroese is pretty hard for most Danish people to grasp as it actually has more words rooted in the ancient Norse language, and it's actually more intelligible to Icelandic. Back to culture though, Denmark has definitely left its mark, whether it's notable figures like author Hans Christian Andersen, philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, or whether...
Pronounce his name?
That's actually how you pronounce his name.
Wow.
It's not Soren Kierkegaard. It's... Or whether it be the invention of the loudspeaker, or Legos, or their love of handball, their impeccable architecture, love of cuisine. Noma in Copenhagen, by the way, being voted the best restaurant in the world with plates that feature live ants and moss. If you're really gonna get a feel for Danish culture though, you kind of have to know about janteloven and hygge. The funny thing is, Danes are kind of brought up in a social mindset that is kind of integrated into their subconscious, known as janteloven, which kind of translates to something like, you are not better than the crowd, which I know sounds kind of depressing, but it's really trying to instill a sense of equality and communal cooperation. Hygge translates to something like spend good times with friends and family,
Chilling.
and it's like a cozy thing. Of course, Denmark is known for being ranked one of the happiest overall countries, even though they are also kind of one of the highest ranked consumers of antidepressants as well. But hey, they still pull off everyday life looking oh so good, even if it's during one of those really loud annual emergency drills.
Okay, Christine, explain what's happening right now.
Denmark is testing the sirens for warfare. Yeah, when we're being attacked by the Germans again.
I'm scared. I'm really scared right now.
And that happens. It's like once a year, every Wednesday, once a year at 12. They have these sirens everywhere, and they sound like that. And it's just to test the system in case of war. Yeah.
Let's run to the security basement.
The Germans are coming! Speaking of Germans... Now, we all know that one person we're all kind of jealous of because they're kind of rich, well-adjusted, and have a ton of friends, and they're like kind of good-looking. Well, that's Norway. Denmark is a little bit rockier. No, but seriously, for such a small nation, Denmark has a huge entourage of friends, and it's almost kind of hard for anyone in the world to dismiss them at a party. As a founding member of the EU and NATO, Denmark has had roots planted in diplomacy for decades. First off, Denmark generally gets along with Germany. Business between the Germans is a hugely integral part of their economy, and Denmark acts like the gateway to Scandinavia for them and the rest of Europe. The US and the UK are incredibly close as both tangible and cultural imports have been established for centuries. For a while, the Danes even took over parts of the UK, which is why to this day the English language still retains hundreds of Old Norse-derived words like leg, dog, and window. The closest friends, though, would have to be the Nordic countries, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Iceland. These four are without a doubt Denmark's closest friends, even though Sweden and them have kind of had more wars and battles historically than any other two states in the world. They've moved on and grown up. Out of the Nordic countries, countries, though, Norway would probably be considered their best friends. Danes are obsessed with Norwegians and often consider Norway the girlfriend they took away from Sweden. In conclusion, Denmark is the rich, rainy rascal that always seems to show up on time for every party, but somehow gets all his work done in an organized, efficient manner. Stay tuned, Djibouti is coming up next.
Oh, Djibouti, wow,
What's
that's funny.
Djibouti?
Djibouti's in Africa, East Africa.
Yep. Anyway, guys.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching. How do you say goodbye in Danish?
Hi.
That's pretty good.
Hi.
That's pretty good.
There's another one. Hadigot.
Yeah, Hadigot, yeah.
Hi, Hadigot.
Hadigot. Hadigot, everyone.
Hadigot, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hadigot, folkens.
Hadigot, folkens. Bye-bye.
Bye, folkens.